Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Super Sports Central. Today, we're going to be grading every first round pick of the 2024 NFL Draft. So, getting into things and beginning with the first overall pick, where the Bears selected Caleb Williams. This pick is getting an A plus for me. The Bears, they needed a quarterback, and they get a great player in Caleb Williams. He is an outstanding quarterback prospect, has a ton of potential, is a great athlete for the position as well. He was an amazing player in college, winning the Heisman Trophy in 2022, and followed it up with a very good season this past year as well. Caleb Williams gives the Bears a much needed quarterback, and the Bears a great pick at number one, get an A plus. Second pick, the Commanders took Jaden Daniels out of LSU. This is another pick that I really like. This is getting an A. The Commanders desperately needed a quarterback, and they get Jaden Daniels, who is a great player, won the Heisman Trophy this past season, throwing for 3,800 yards and 40 touchdowns, while rushing for 1,134 yards and 10 touchdowns. He is a tremendous dual threat quarterback, and the Commanders get an A for the second pick. Number three, the Patriots took Drake May. This is another pick I really like, A plus. The Patriots could have moved out of this pick, and reports say they were actually offered 3 first round picks by the Vikings, but the Patriots opted to keep this pick and draft their quarterback in the future. Drake May, another really good quarterback prospect. I actually like him a little bit more than Jaden Daniels, which is why he gets an A plus, and Jaden Daniels gets an A. Both really good players. The Patriots, they get a great signal caller at number three. The Cardinals at number four took Marvin Harrison Jr., another move I really like, A plus. So the Cardinals desperately needed a receiver. They get Marvin Harrison Jr., one of the best receiver prospects we've seen in a while. He caught for at least 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns in back-to-back seasons at Ohio State. He has very few weaknesses in his game, and the Cardinals get an A plus for at number four. The fifth pick, the Chargers took Joe Alt. So the Chargers, another team that could have opted to trade out of this pick, but they ended up selecting Notre Dame tackle Joe Alt, and that pick gets an A minus. Joe Alt, the best lineman in the draft. Now he will have to move over to right tackle because the Chargers have Rashawn Slater at left tackle, but I really like Joe Alt. I like the pick to help protect Justin Herbert, and they get an A minus. At number six, the Giants took Malik Neighbors. This is another A plus for me. Malik Neighbors gives the Giants their first true wide receiver one since Odell Beckham Jr., which they actually drafted 10 years ago in 2014. Neighbors happens to be also from LSU, but he's an incredible player. Back-to-back seasons with 1,000 yards at LSU. Insane after the catch. And some people think the Giants should have gone quarterback, but as a Giants fan, I'm incredibly happy they did not go with J.J. McCarthy and instead drafted Malik Neighbors. Giants, they get an A+. plus. At number seven, the Titans took J.C. Latham, offensive tackle from Alabama. This is a B+. plus. Latham's a good player. He fills a position of need for the Titans. Joe Alt was definitely the player they wanted, but he was already off the board by the time the Titans pick rolled around. Latham's still a really good player, and the Titans will take any help they can get along the offensive line. They get a B plus for this pick, although Latham will have to move from right tackle to left tackle unless they plan on keeping him at right tackle. 8, we had our first big surprise, and that was the Falcons taking Michael Penix Jr. This pick gets a C plus. So not a lot of people thought Penix would get taken in the first round, especially to the Falcons, a team who paid Kirk Cousins $180 million over 4 years. Now, I like Penix. I like him a lot more than most people do. I think he's a really underrated prospect, but I don't love the pick for the Falcons. One, I think it's a little early for Penix. Plus, I think the Falcons should have gone other directions with either Rome Odunze or Dallas Turner. So, as much as I like Penix, I really don't like this pick. C plus for the Falcons. The Bears at number 9 selected Rome Odunze. This is another pick that gets an A. This is a really good move for the Bears, not only getting their franchise quarterback at number 1, but getting him a really good player at number 9. Odunze, a really good player, great contested catch guy, at least 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. He also improves the Bears' receiver room, and they now have a really good trio of DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and now Rome Odunze. But the Bears get an A for drafting Odunze at 9. Number 10, the Vikings took J.J. McCarthy, and this move for me gets a B. I'm not a huge J.J. McCarthy fan, but I actually don't hate the pick. I like the Vikings taking him at 10 as opposed to trading up to potentially 5 to trade him. The Vikings get their quarterback, which is definitely going to be an upgrade over Sam Darnold. But I don't think McCarthy is in a great situation right now, being forced to start right away, even though the Vikings have a decent team around him. But McCarthy goes from not being asked to do a lot at Michigan to being a starting quarterback for the Vikings. A decent pick. They got their quarterback, but they get a B. The Jets at 11 took tackle Olu Fashanu. So this is another pick I really like. The Jets needed to address the offensive line, and they got a really good player. Olu Fashanu played left tackle at Penn State. He's expected to stick there in the NFL. Arguably the best pass protector in the draft class, and a great pick for the Jets. They get an A. The Broncos at 12 took Bo Nix. This pick gets a B minus for me. So this is another interesting pick. Quarterbacks here were flying off the board, so the Broncos decided to grab their guy in Bo Nix at 12. And while I do think it was early for Bo Nix, I think the Broncos just took him here because they didn't want to miss out on a quarterback, with top 5 quarterbacks at that point already being off the board. Now, I do think Bo Nix is a solid player, but I don't think he was worth a top 12 pick. But he does fill a position you need for the Broncos. Overall, B minus. The Raiders at 13 took Brock Bowers. So this move gets a B. I like Brock Bowers a lot, but it's a little bit of a confusing pick for the Raiders. They already have Michael Mayer, who was a second round pick in last year's draft. So they'll be playing either a lot of 2 tight end sets or using Brock Bowers more like a big receiver. But the Raiders, a solid pick. They get a B. It was pretty much best player available for them, so I don't hate that. But I would have rather them target other positions like corner with this pick. At number 14, the Saints selected offensive tackle Taliese Fuaga. This is a B plus for me. Another pretty good pick. The Saints needed an offensive lineman. They get Fuaga from Oregon State. He can stick at tackle or move to guard at the next level. A great run blocker. Helps the Saints in a position of need. They get a B plus. 15, the Colts got Laiatu Watu. This is an A minus. We finally saw a defensive player go off the board at 15, and Laiatu Watu is a really good player. He had injury concerns heading into the draft, but obviously did not stop the Colts from making him the first defensive player off the board. He is a great pass rusher, had 13 sacks this past season, and I like this pick for the Colts, but there is 2 things worth noting. One, Dallas Turner was still on the board, and he was my top defensive player. And 2, I think the Colts should have prioritized getting a corner over an edge rusher. But Laiatu Watu is still a really good player. Colts are getting at 15. Great value for that spot. And they get an A minus. The Seahawks at 16 took defensive tackle Byron Murphy out of Texas. This is another good pick, A minus. Byron Murphy, a great fit for the Seahawks. A little bit smaller at about 300 pounds, but plays with great leverage. Overall, a good player. But like the Colts, Dallas Turner was available, so a little surprised to see a defensive lineman go off the board. That wasn't Dallas Turner, but I still like the pick for Seattle. The Vikings again at 17, they finally took Dallas Turner. This is an A+. So as I said, I really like Dallas Turner. And the Vikings traded up from 23 to 17 to take him. I think Dallas Turner was the best defensive player in the draft. Should have probably gone in the top 10. So getting him at 17 is an absolute steal for the Vikings. Plus he helps replace Danielle Hunter, who left in free agency. Love this pick for the Vikings, A+. At 18th overall, the Bengals selected offensive tackle Amarius Mims. This is getting a B+. So this is a very boom or bust pick. Amarius Mims, a player, a ton of potential, a freak athlete, has insane size at 6'8", 340. Now, the downside with Amarius Mims, very inexperienced, just 8 college starts. But what I do like about this pick is he's not in a position where he has to start right away. The Bengals have Trent Brown. They signed him to a 1-year contract to play right tackle. So that way Amarius Mims can sit, develop for a season, and then start at right tackle next year. I like this pick. A lot of potential for Amarius Mims. The Bengals got a B+. 19, the Rams took Jared Verse. This is an A-. Another pick I really like. The Rams needed pass rushers to help replace Aaron Donald, who retired earlier in the offseason. They got Jared Verse in their first-round pick since 2016. But Verse is a powerful edge rusher, had 9 sacks in back-to-back years at Florida State, and a good pick for the Rams. They get an A-. Also, the Rams must really like drafting players with the first name of Jared in the first round. Their last first round pick was Jared Goff. Moving to number 20, the Steelers took offensive lineman Troy Fautanu from Washington. This is an A minus. I really like this pick. The Steelers needed to improve the offensive line. They got Troy Fautanu, played left tackle at Washington, could move inside at the next level, and positional flexibility along the offensive line is something really nice to have. I like this pick for the Steelers. They get an A minus. The Dolphins at 21 took Chop Robinson. This pick gets a B. Chop Robinson, another boomer bust player, needs to develop well as a pass rusher, but has incredible potential. Insanely fast, incredible burst off the line. Now, as far as this goes for the Dolphins, they have some good edge rushers, and I would have taken either an offensive lineman or an interior defensive lineman like Johnny Newton, but still a solid pick. I like Chop Robinson, has a lot of potential. Dolphins get a B. 22, the Eagles took Quinyon Mitchell. This is an A. This is another pick I really like. Quinyon Mitchell was the first corner off the board to the Eagles. A great player, insane athlete. Some people don't think he played against tough enough competition at Toledo, but he played really well at the Senior Bowl against other good draft prospects. Eagles get much needed help in the secondary, and they get an A. 23rd overall, the Jaguars selected receiver Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. This is a B+. Another good pick. The Jaguars, they're going all in on offense. They signed Gabe Davis in free agency, now drafted Brian Thomas Jr. And Thomas Jr. is a great player, great deep threat, a touchdown machine at LSU, led the country this past season with 17 touchdowns. And this is a good pick, although I would have gone elsewhere if I was the Jaguars and targeted a corner such as Terrion Arnold with him still on the board. But Brian Thomas Jr. is still a good player. Jaguars get a B+. 24th overall, the Lions selected Terrion Arnold. This is an A-. Another great pick. I was surprised to see Terrion Arnold still available at 24. The Lions traded up to get him, and I like this pick a lot. He's a really good cover player. 5 interceptions in 2023. Also defends the run very well. I really like this pick for the Lions. They improve the secondary, get great value late in the first round, and the Lions with an A-. 25th, the Packers selected Jordan Morgan, offensive tackle from Arizona. This is a B-. So the Packers, they went offensive lineman here at 25. I understand it, but here from the Packers, Jordan Morgan was probably my third pick. First would have been Cooper Jadine, who is still available. I would have taken him there at 25. And second, if the Packers wanted an offensive lineman, I think they should have taken Graham Barton, who's has the potential to play all 5 spots along the offensive line and has great versatility. Now, Jordan Morgan's still a good player, but a little bit of a lower grade at B- for me, just because I would have preferred to see them go elsewhere, but Morgan's still a good player. 26, the Bucks took Graham Barton. They get an A for that pick. Graham Barton, a really good player, like I said a second ago, can play all over the offensive line. Likely will be at center for the Buccaneers to replace the recently retired Ryan Jensen. But the Buccaneers improve the offensive line, get another guy to protect Baker Mayfield coming off a career season. Buccaneers with a great pick get an A. The Cardinals at 27 took edge rusher Darius Robinson from Missouri. This is the B+. I like this pick. The Cardinals went offense at 4 with Marvin Harrison Jr. Then look at a pass rusher with great versatility in Darius Robinson at 27. Robinson, a good pass rusher, also defends the run well, and as I said a second ago, has the versatility to play all along the defensive line. Cardinals, good pick, B+. The Chiefs at 28 selected Xavier Worthy out of Texas. This is an A-. A good pick for the Chiefs. They desperately needed help at receiver, and they get a really fast receiver in Xavier Worthy. Set the combine record with a 4.21 40-yard dash. Worthy, not only a great deep threat, but also very dangerous with the ball in his hands. I really like this pick for the Chiefs. They get an A-. The Cowboys, 29th overall, took Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. This is a B+ for me. Another good pick. The Cowboys were likely going to take a lineman, and they took Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. He played right tackle in college, could move to left tackle in the NFL. And with this pick, it gives the Cowboys some flexibility along the offensive line because it allows them to keep Tyler Smith at guard, where he's played that position at an incredibly high level, or they can move him back out to tackle, where he played at college, and play Tyler Guyton at guard. But the Cowboys have options along the offensive line. I like this pick. and they get a B+. The Ravens at number 30 took Nate Wiggins. This pick gets a B+. Another pick I like, Nate Wiggins might be the best cover corner in the entire draft. He helps the Ravens at a position of need. Now, the downside to Nate Wiggins, just 173 pounds, and because of that smaller size, isn't a very good tackler, but a great cover player, and I like the pick for the Ravens. They get a B+. Second to last pick, the 49ers took Ricky Pearsall at 31. So this is an interesting pick, and I'm giving it a C. The 49ers have Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Now, there has been trade rumors surrounding both of those players, but as of now, they're both still on the team, and I don't love the Pearsall pick. The 49ers could have gone different directions and gotten something like an offensive lineman, but Ricky Pearsall, solid player. I just don't love the pick for the 49ers. They get a C. And the final pick of the first round, the Panthers drafted receiver Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. This gets a B-. This is a pretty good pick. Obviously, the Panthers had to trade into the first round to grab Legette, and they get Bryce Young, a target, and that is something they desperately needed. Now, the interesting thing about this, or about Xavier Legette, is he really only had one good year in college, and that was this past season where he had 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns. Overall, a good pick for the Panthers. They get a B-. So those are my grades for every first round pick of the 2024 NFL Draft. Let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree, if there's a player you would have graded differently. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Got a lot more draft content on the way, so be sure to subscribe and turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible. But thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.